The Happy Warrior Podcast, conservative commentary on the news of the day from a more positive perspective.
Hey, it's good to be here with all of you again today. This is the Happy Warrior Podcast with me, your host, Peter the Von Pischke, coming to you from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, home of the Sioux Falls Whippoorwills. I don't know, Sioux Falls Stampede. I think that's our hockey team. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. If you live in Sioux Falls, you know what the teams are. If you don't, it doesn't matter to you at all, does it? I'm happy to be with you here today. I was going to start out talking about intersectionality, but crazy stuff happened in the news in the last week that I felt deserved to be talked about. No, that does not include Kanye. I kind of covered Kanye in the last podcast. Basically, Kanye is still Kanye. You know, he's a free thinker. He's learning. He's gone on his start of his conservative journey. I hope he grows in his understanding of reason and the principles of the Enlightenment. He's kind of a fun guy. I think I don't understand why it's not okay for Kanye to come out and talk about politics when Taylor Swift did this exact same thing and she was just adored for it. So that's kind of a double standard a little bit. And Kanye didn't even come out for a specific candidate so much as saying, hey, President Trump is my president, you know, just in the same way that he was for Obama, because Kanye also visited the Obama White House. But that is a whole nother thing I want to put away. I don't want to talk about Kanye this time. Okay, we can't do Kanye every time. Then this is going to be the Happy Kanye podcast. Happy Kanye. No, this is the Happy Warrior Podcast. We have to go out and fight on the battlefield of ideas once again, my friends. So what are we going to start talking about? Well, it so happens that something called political violence, which is something in the United States of America, at least as long as I've been alive, generally is thought of as foreign. It's a foreign, alien idea. We don't get violent about our politics. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the elephant or the donkey in charge. We try to peacefully hand over the reins of power and just try to live and get along. Well, not so much lately. Sadly, we're beginning to see the seeds that were planted long ago start to come to fruition. And the fruits that they have are very bitter, very ugly indeed. We're going to look at some of those things. So I want to start out here. Please, let's go to a clip of President Trump. This is him speaking at one of his rallies. Then I'll follow that up with some commentary from the Don Lemon show on what they thought of the speech.
Hand matches to an arsonist, and you don't give power to an angry left-wing mob, and that's what the Democrats have become. They would turn our country so fast into Venezuela. And Venezuela's not doing too well, folks.
So we are hearing that time and time again. Who was he talking about?
Well, I guess what he was talking about is the women who are very angry and expressed their anger, I think, quite adamantly during the Kavanaugh hearings, because they were women who had gone through the trauma and the tragedy of being sexually assaulted at some point or maybe several times during their lifetime, and they were trying to tell their stories to Republican men who did nothing but either run away from them or completely make fun of them, treat them disrespectfully, and in a manner that just dripped of disdain and denigration. And so for me, the more that he talks about an angry mob and the more that women understand that he's talking about them and complaining about them when they were trying to tell their stories, the better it is. Not just for Democrats,
well, there
but
you
for
have it, folks. That's what we're going to be starting
frankly,
today. Yes,
Republican
Don Lemon, who
women
talked about the nasty M word, because Donald Trump called them mobs. Mobs is the term of the week. I'm sure you've heard it in 10 different places if you listen to conservative talk radio at all, or maybe if you were watching that CNN segment. Otherwise, it's not really being brought up much, which is a shame because it is extremely newsworthy. Don Lemon and Maria Cardona. Maria Cardona was the lady that was talking in there. She's a Democratic strategist. Are dead wrong. Now, that doesn't mean that both parties have some part to play in the political violence. We're seeing this last week, but it's definitely more one-sided than it is two-sided. I know this is the Happy Warrior podcast, so I'm trying to be fair, but let's be honest. The left has a political violence problem, and ignoring it is not going to make it any better. It got to silliness when I heard about the M word. That's kind of what's piqued my interest. I heard the M word. What is that? What was the M word? I thought the M word might be like Mormon, because I'm LDS, member of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. No, it's not Mormon. Maybe it's murder. No, it's not that. What would be the M word? M isn't really there's some slurs. Is there like a racial epithet that uses the M? I don't know. But here we go. Here's the M word.
Already motivated. Donald Trump, nothing that happened, last week is going to matter to the person who's already upset about all the other things Donald Trump has done. Democrats were motivated, passionate, angry.
Sure.
They are either going to turn out or they're not. Republicans, they're the team that needed the excitement, the passion, the energy. They didn't have it. In midterms, that's what matters for turnout, and now I think they do. And it's because I believe it's the overreaction of the left. When you see people like Ted Cruz getting chased out of restaurants by a mob.
You're not going to use the mob word here.
It's totally a mob. It is without a doubt. There's no other word for it. It's a put up the video.
Mob. Stop. A mob is what we saw in Charlottesville, Virginia, 2 August ago.
No,
a mob is not what we saw.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's the M word. Well, what does M stand for, children? Mob. That's right. M is for mob. Can you put a mob in a sentence? Yes, the M word, M for mob. I heard that and I was just like, if you ever seen anime, sometimes the characters, if they hear something really stupid or embarrassing, they all kind of like flip over and fall on their sides. That's kind of what I was doing. I heard that, I was like, no, I can't believe this. Brooke Baldwin. Oh my gosh. Brooke Baldwin says some of the most funny things. Oh, it's painful. It's funny because it's not in this clip, but Mary Catherine Ham, who's also on this panel with Matt Lewis and Baldwin, she says, are you kidding me? Of course it is a mob. What else do you call that? Yes. Well, so they talked about in there screaming at the Supreme Court doors. What are they talking about? See, I don't think a lot of you saw this, so I'm going to share this audio with you. These are the well-trained adults, many of them from the Ivy League, wonderful, smart leaders of the future, protest. They're just protesters. It's controlled civil dissidents. That's all it is. You don't read anything more into it. Okay, so the first clip of audio I have was when they were doing the final confirmation vote on Kavanaugh's nominations. This is what's going on in the room with all the senators who are going to vote on this. This is just crazy. Listen to this clip.
Under the previous question, all post-cloture time has expired. The question is on the nomination. Is there a sufficient second? There is a sufficient second. Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery. Is there a sufficient second? There is a sufficient second. There is a sufficient second. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery. The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Ugh, that sounded like demonic voices. Sorry about that. That wasn't me. That's C-SPAN's audio. It got so crazy. I must have knocked the mics down or something, because it sounded like we were underwater with a bunch of shivering demons from the 9th level of hell nipping at our ankles. That's what that sound was. When I hear it, that's what I think of. Yeah, that was happening while the final confirmation vote of Kavanaugh. But if you think that was awesome, if you think that was the best civil distance you ever heard, peaceful protest, then you gotta you gotta listen to this clip. This clip is freaking amazing. This is what happened as Brett Kavanaugh is being sworn in as the next Supreme Court justice. This is insane. This is unbelievable. This is one of those clips of videos that they're going to look at 50, 100 years from now as one of those, touchstone moments of our age. If you see the video, and you can see it on my list of links, my outline, basically the story behind this went like this. So while Brett Kavanaugh is being sworn in the Supreme Court building, outside there is protests. Now the police have put a blockade around the building, a line that the protesters couldn't cross. Well, the police lost control of the situation, and hundreds, if not thousands, of teenage and young adult men and women rushed at the door, and the women, they just start scratching and clawing at it like cats. They just go. My dog's looking at me like, what is going on over there? No, seriously, here's the audio. You guys have got to look at this video. It is insane. It's like they're going to move the 17-ton stone door. But they try anyways. They're going to force their way through that door and stop the evil Brett Kavanaugh. Oh yeah, you can hear them hanging the doors. Yep, there they go again. They're all slapping at it, scratching at it. Bunch of cats. Shut it down, 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 shut it down. Shut it down. Oh man, they're all going at it. Oh, it just goes on, and it goes on, and on. They keep trying. Seriously, the police have lost complete and total control. Yeah, they gave up. That's funny. I watched that. I'll give a shot at it, then they go back into the crowd. Ho ho, Kavanaugh has got to go. Hey hey, ho ho, Kavanaugh has got to go. Hey hey, ho ho, Kavanaugh has got to go. Oh man, those protest chants, they got some good lyrics. Very creative. Yes, that you have to see the video. It's unbelievable. It really does remind me of a herd of cats just running at the storm like, hey, ho, ho. I should stop. This is the happy warrior, not the mean, grumpy, cynical warrior. That's not how a happy warrior acts. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that's that. What do you call that? What do you call that? I think you do call that the M word. I'm sorry. No. Scott, something else. Not that. Can't be that. Can't possibly be that. Those examples I just gave to you are the acts of peaceful, safe protest. I'm sure if Kavanaugh came out into that crowd, very safe. Very safe. Nothing bad. Now, I'm going to take out my time machine and move just a little bit back to my birthday, September 24th, 2018, the same day I turned 29 years old. One of my favorite politicians, well, as much as you can like a politician, I guess, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. He and his wife went out to a restaurant in Washington, D.C. for date night. Even senators from Texas need to go out for date night. Well, maybe some of you have heard this or seen this. What happened? Well, they're sitting there at their table, and all of a sudden they get swarmed like a pack of feral hyenas.
We believe survivors. 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 Beto is way hotter than you do. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. God bless you. Let my wife through. We believe survivors. For God, we believe survivors. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. premises. It's a private space.
How many of you support Kavanaugh?
Ted Cruz and Brett Kavanaugh are best friends.
Vote no on Kavanaugh.
Vote no on Kavanaugh. Cancel Kavanaugh for women's rights, for rights of every marginalized community.
Yeah, so there we go. That was the famous clip. I played it in full. That clip comes from the organization that did this, Smash Racism DC. Yes, you can hear Ted Cruz in it saying, please let my wife through. He tells them God bless. He doesn't get angry. He just tries to get out of the restaurant so he and his wife are safe. You know, the same thing I think most of us would do, I hope. No, and they're just chanting, we believe survivors! We believe survivors! I love the guy in the clip that goes, Beto O'Rourke is way hotter than you, dude. Which, I mean, he is right. Beto O'Rourke is a very good-looking man. We believe survivors! And they're at the end, they're like, yay! We got him to leave the restaurant! We did it! We ruined date night! We're the heroes! And then after they leave him, they're like, we are the champions. You know, they're giving high fives. The men are getting laid. The women are putting it on Instagram. Just ridiculous. It's funny, actually, after this, Ted Cruz and his wife, the restaurant staff took them, they went around the building into the back room, into the kitchen, kept them safe there. And then afterwards, Ted Cruz turned to his wife and said, so what do you want to do? You want to stay? You want to leave? She's like, let's finish date night. So they just go back and they finish their meal. Way to go for Ted Cruz. That is just not cool. That is not cool. See, Martin Luther King, he would have sit-ins at cafes they weren't allowed to eat. But they sat. Okay, and they didn't disrupt the business entirely. They didn't crowd someone and yell at them and, you know, put them in an environment where they hope that the person attacks back. That way you can sue them and show the video of how violent and evil they are. Just awful, nasty stuff. I feel bad for Ted Cruz. And this would not be right if it was flipped. If it was people on the right doing to someone on the left. And I have something about this later, okay? Because Happy Warrior is an honest warrior. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. Well, what else? You know, we do it for all the marginalized communities, right? Because all the marginalized communities' rights are being threatened somehow by Ted Cruz and his wife eating dinner. And date night threatens all the marginalized communities. All of them. It's just ridiculous. Okay, sorry, I'm laughing too much. It actually is a really dangerous thing. That is a mob. I don't know how else you define it. You just give them the tiki torches and they're officially a mob. You know, it's just like Beauty and the Beast. Kill the beast! And they all get out, the baker and the candlestick maker and the nice librarian guy, a bookseller, whatever. They're all, you know, there with their torches. You know, people in the beginning of the movie were so nice, so friendly, singing the songs about Belle, how she's so stuck up. Well, she was a little bit. At the end of the movie, they're like, kill the beast! Kill him! Ah! You know, actually, this is a pretty good analogy because in that movie, they thought the beast was going to eat them. He was going to harm them. Well, these people, they sincerely believed, I think most of them sincerely believe that somehow having Kavanaugh become a judge hurt them. I mean, the people don't do this because they're insincere. Okay, there are people that get paid to protest, but I don't think, I think there's even a limit to that. You know, then it's just a mess. You know, and it's dangerous. It's not just funny. It is actually dangerous. Afterwards, they were chased out. Smash Racism were putting out tweets and said that telling Ted Cruz that he was not safe. They really did this. They sent out a tweet that says Ted Cruz is not safe. Here's what it says. It says, this is a message to Ted Cruz, Brett Kavanaugh, Donald Trump, and the rest of the racist, sexist, transphobic, and homophobic right-wing scum. You are not safe. We will find you. We will expose you. We will take you from the peace you have taken from so many others. I mean, guys, does that not sound like a threat? Doesn't that sound like a mobster? Hey, you like the meatballs? You like the meatballs? Let me tell you, you're not safe. You're not safe here. You can't get away from us. We'll track you. We'll take you. We will find you. We will expose you. We'll take you from the peace you were taken from so many others. What am I saying? A bada bing, a bada boom. Okay, so obviously my Italian mobster isn't great. I wasn't allowed to watch The Godfather growing up. But anyhow, that doesn't, it seriously is. It is dangerous. You telling people that, how is that not a threat? I mean, I hope they got a visit from the Secret Service. I bet they did. Because that's scary stuff. As kind of funny and as twisted as this is, this isn't the first time I've covered Antifa mobs. One of my first episodes solo here on the Happy Warrior podcast was about the time when Antifa in Portland, with the mayor's permission, blockaded the ICE building, and they wouldn't let any of the ICE staff out. Well, I have this quick video of some people that actually were there. There was this interview on Fox News with a person representing the National ICE Council about what did they see from their side of things.
National ICE Council, Chris Crane, joins me now. Let me ask you, Chris, well, first of all, I'll preface this by saying we did reach out to the mayor, Mayor Wheeler, to join us, and we have not heard back. But what's your reaction to what he's saying about you guys right now?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of disbelief, but I think it's a lot of political spin coming from Mayor Wheeler right now. The mayor's trying to make the case that there was no need to provide police protection for our employees in that facility, that we had some kind of massive police force that could protect them, when in reality we just had a handful of employees in that building surrounded by hundreds of protesters. They blocked the entrances and the exits. Our folks were trapped in that building. When they did try to leave, protesters surround their cars, damage their cars, threaten their lives. And it's really been a desperate situation for our employees. Protesters even followed them home to their residences, followed them when they went to pick up their kids at daycare, repeatedly threatening their lives. This was not some normal protest where people were out there trying to express their free speech rights in a peaceful manner. This was an absolute siege of an ICE facility. A lot of people don't know this. This really isn't getting covered out in the mainstream media. We lost that building for 10 days, almost 2 weeks. The protesters took control of that building. And these were not normal protesters. Folks like Antifa, violent militant groups out there coming against our employees, and the mayor refused to provide them protection.
Well, there you go, folks. The very peaceful Antifa. I'm still amazed that story received very little coverage. That's crazy. That is just insane. If it was any other branch of the government, and they had been surrounded and sieged, if they had a blockade, and that's what it was a blockade, and the mayor and law enforcement refused to protect the people inside. I mean, it's messed up, man. That is messed up. But Antifa is one of these top groups that pushes the bounds of decency, that pushes the bounds of civility. Civility, that's another word, the C word. Now, the M word and the C word are both being banned because they're just inconvenient. They're inconvenient right now. Civility, that's a waste of time. That just gets in the way of us doing what we want and getting what we want when we want. The M word, we can't have people hearing about that, because if they hear that, maybe they'll turn on us. Because most of America is against blockades. Most of America is against mobs running into a restaurant, surrounding someone, daring them to fight back. I'm going to be honest. If I was with my sister, if I was with my mom, with my grandma or my aunt, and we got surrounded in a restaurant like that, there are going to be punches flying. I mean, it's just, you guys do not put my family members in danger. I do not tolerate that. I'm amazed that Cruz was able to keep his cool. But, we had more recent stories. So the Cruz thing was in September. The ICE thing was in August, but there was stuff that happened just this week, even just this weekend, that I felt we needed to talk about when it comes to the M word.
The far-left group, Antifa, strikes again, this time at a Republican office in Manhattan, and the group says it's just the beginning. Trace Gallagher is tracking that for us tonight. Trace?
Shannon, it was around 1:30 in the morning when the anti-fascist or Antifa members allegedly vandalized the New York Republican headquarters in New York City. Windows were broken, doors spray painted, glue put in locks and handles. And a threatening note was also left behind saying, quote, "Tonight we put the Republican Party on notice in defiance to the policy of mass misery they have championed." the U.S. government has established concentration camps around the country for Latino people, shamelessly murders black people, and continues its war machine that has slaughtered Muslim people with impunity for decades. The note goes on to say their attack is just beginning, and it talks about Republicans inviting a, quote, hipster fascist clown to dance for them, a reference to the GOP hosting Gavin McInnes, the founder of a far-right organization called Proud Boys, who have physically clashed with Antifa protesters on several occasions. Today, New York Republican Chairman Ed Cox called on Democrats to cease inciting these attacks.
Yeah, so all that happened October 12th. This was just the other day. So, like he said, basically, all the GOP office in Manhattan was attacked. They destroyed $6,000 plus worth of property. They put graffiti everywhere. They left this threatening note where they basically says Republicans are, slave masters and Nazi prison guards. I mean, just nuts, just crazy stuff. It's hard to believe, when they do that you don't think it would lead to violence. And now I'm going to touch on about that. See, I'm going to come back to this issue. Now, is this a left versus right thing? I think that's the next thing we need to ask. It is to an extent. So in the 60s, there was political violence on what some people might say the left or right. The KKK wasn't really a right group. Actually, they voted Democrat. And the Ku Klux Klan actually got a huge shot in the arm because of Woodrow Wilson. But we're not going into that, okay? If we want to say the KKK was on the right, fine. But during the 1960s, we had groups like the Weathermen Underground that left bombs in mailboxes, and we think they might have put thousands of them in. I don't know how many people are hurt. I don't have the stats right here, but it was a mess, okay? So political violence, at least in the modern age, isn't new in the United States of America, but it's wrong. Was political violence wrong when the KKK blew up church buildings and killed little black girls? Yes. Yes, it was. Was it wrong when the Weather Underground did it to white people? Yes. Yes, it was wrong. I think it was to police, if I remember the story correctly. It's wrong. Political violence is wrong. And these protests are ramping us up to that. See, when we act this crazy, we're raising the threshold, making it so much easier to fall into political violence. And I mean, it does not help at all if the leaders of the political parties don't talk this stuff down. If they don't tell people to use reason and to have cooler heads, to let cooler heads prevail. If they don't say that, if they say things like, well, the election is illegitimate, the Supreme Court is illegitimate, if this Constitution is illegitimate, well, what do you think that's going to make people do? Well, here is, so I kind of blew off all the stuff from the media and from Hillary Clinton saying that basically President Trump stole the election, because I thought this was just silliness and this will blow over in time. I should have realized that actually it was dangerous in the sense that it was raising our threshold towards political violence. It was making people's tempers flare. It was people were buying into it, that there was an illegitimate election, so it shouldn't count, so we should do something about it. Dangerous stuff. I really wish I had taken it more seriously. I kind of get now why that's a bad thing for people to do. It isn't just something that you can blow off. It is something that's worth talking about. It's newsworthy. So Hillary Clinton, seeing all this craziness and talking about the lack of civility in our day-to-day political culture and talking to one another, here's what she has to say. Hillary Clinton leading the way towards peace.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength.
So yes, that was Senator Hillary Clinton, if you remember, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, talking about how there can be no civility till we've won back the, blank, choose it. We won the White House or the Senate or the House or, I don't know, the way they look at it, the Supreme Court. We can't have civility until we win. Wait a second. What? I thought you were supposed to be a stateswoman. I mean, that doesn't sound very stateswomanly to me. That just sounds more like the rhetoric of a champion, of an invader, of someone that wants to, win by strength. But, you say win by strength. You say that not about, domestic. You talk about, enemies foreign. You use that language against enemies. Not against you don't use that language against your political opponents. I mean, what is going on here? Well, she isn't the only former Obama White House person to come out and basically say the same message that, well, they're illegitimate. We can't have civility. So whatever it takes to win, do it.
They have used the power that they have gotten for all the wrong things. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to the special interests. It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, she and my wife like really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about. We're proud as hell to be Democrats. We're willing to fight for the ideals of the Democratic Party. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our present, and we're proud of the future that we can create for this country. And we're not in this just to make a statement. We're in this to win. Yes. All right?
There you go. A man that arguably was one of the most powerful men in the world, at least the country. Former Attorney General Eric Holder, also governor of Illinois. No, Mayor of Chicago. That's it. Mayor of Chicago. Of course, he is famous for Fast and Furious. Of course, he probably had some influence on the IRS scandal, where they were suppressing conservative and Tea Partiers and just basically anyone they thought was on the right side of politics. Yeah, seriously, that is the Chicago way of politics right there. It is the Chicago way. Yeah, that's the Chicago way of politics. Scary stuff. Now, I did try to play the whole minute, 15-second clip of audio for you guys because I try to share the fullness. At least I want you to get a full context of the clip. They were talking, of course, at the beginning there about Republicans. They also, it's interesting, they talk about this idea, again, that Hillary Clinton talked about, where Republicans are only interested in power and strength. Okay. Now, I don't want to go and do some whataboutism, but I think the lady doth protest too much. I think that's, and it's probably true of Republicans, many Republican leaders and politicians. But I mean, I think that's so true of them. It's interesting where they say they're proud of their history as well. I'd love to point out about Dewey and Roosevelt and W.B. Du Bois and Margaret Sanger. I mean, there's just some people off the top of my head who I would be not proud of that history. Definitely not. Anyhow, so that was this is what's happening. So you have the leaders of the Democrat Party of the very popular Barack Obama administration, at least to people on the left, saying that you can't be civil with Republicans. We can't, when they go low, we kick them. We have to be as awful as they are. We have to be, whatever it takes to win. Whatever it takes to win. Winning is all that matters. Damned be the consequences. Sorry if you're listening, kid. Sorry. Darned be the consequences. Now, this is an interesting thing. I have some two pieces here. I know this clip is long, but I think we need to try to talk about the issue of the M-word fully. So I have a bit here about Steve Scalise, and I have a bit here from Rand Paul. Steve Scalise and Rand Paul were victims of political violence a year ago. Rand Paul was at the game where, there was like a third of the U.S. House and Senate were playing baseball. I wouldn't be there because I don't like baseball. They're playing baseball. This guy comes out. He starts shooting them. He yells when he's shooting them, "This is for healthcare." While he's shooting them, he yells, "This is for healthcare." It was uber leftist, a former staffer for Bernie Sanders. Just craziness. Dangerous. Rand Paul didn't get hurt, but Steve Scalise got hurt, and he had major surgeries, and thankfully he's alive today. One of the amazing, proud moments, I think, at the last State of the Union was Steve Scalise standing up. I think left or right, that was a pretty cool moment. Rand Paul was beaten by a neighbor and broke his jaw, lost loads of teeth. Over and over he was beaten right while Rand Paul was mowing his lawn. So Steve Scalise and Rand Paul, they understand the dangers of political violence. All right, so here we go. Back to Don Lemon. This is another night on Don Lemon. What night was this? It was just last night, 10/13. Someone brought up a serious issue, and it kind of gets shot down. Okay, listen to this. CNN, Don Lemon.
Yeah. So, Alice, I asked you a similar question the other night about the Republicans, your party. They have the White House, Congress, 2 handpicked justices. In the last year, people who don't agree with it are exercising one of their options, which is protest. Why is that being turned into talking points about a mob?
It's not as much a talking point as it's reality, Don. They are angry and they're acting in mob-like behavior. Look, we can go back and look at this. It started when the Republicans, members of Congress, were at a baseball practice, and a man came out and shot them. Ask Steve Scalise if there's mob-like behavior.
Don't you dare accuse that shooter. That shooter was mentally ill, Alice.
That was a deranged maniac.
That is out of bounds. So out of bounds.
It continued when Democrats were chasing members of this administration out of restaurants, starting with Sarah Sanders and with Senator Ted Cruz. We had Congresswoman Maxine Waters encouraging people to go out, whether they see a member of a cabinet or this administration, and chase them out and push back on them,
but Alice,
and get in their face and harass them, and
banging
on doors. Now,
hold on,
if
Hillary.
you say that's not mob-like mentality, I don't know what
Hillary,
is.
but Alice, listen. The other 2 guests reacted, and so I've got to get. Why would Steve Scalise, which was awful, why would you compare that to a mob? What does that have to do with people who are protesting?
We're talking about the anger and the vitriol that has been displayed against Republicans and conservatives ever since this president was nominated to the White House, and it has to stop. The anger. It's one thing to disagree and to have vocal protests and vocal opposition to this administration, but when it comes to the point where you're getting violent and you're being aggressive and you're taking it out in a violent way, that's wrong, and it shouldn't happen, and it needs to stop.
I don't know how you disagree with Allison. So the partisan lines, the tribalism would make you want to say no, but it's interesting, even in the next guy that makes a comment on this, Democrat strategist, he actually concedes that when Eric Holder says, when they go low, we kick them, and that comments like lack of civility by Hillary Clinton, he says that's not good. Now, he blames that this violence is because Trump is baiting them. Trump is he's making them want to do it, okay? I don't know how that's a legitimate argument. But going aside from that, he basically does concede the point. What else can I say? It's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing we're doing. Now, she was talking about Steve Scalise. I want you now to hear from Rand Paul. Rand Paul went on a local radio program, Leland Conway. So it's the Leland Conway program. I don't know. Anyhow, in this episode, he talks to Senator Rand Paul. And I just felt the comments were pretty insightful and worth listening to.
I think what people need to realize that when people like Cory Booker say, get up in their face, he may think that that's okay, but what he doesn't realize is that for about every 1,000 person that might want to get up in your face, one of them is going to be unstable enough to commit violence. When I was at the ball field and Steve Scalise was nearly killed, the guy shooting up the ball field and shooting, I think 5 or 6 people were shot. Steve Scalise was almost killed. He was yelling, "This is for health care." He had a list in his pocket of conservative Republicans that he wanted to kill. When I was attacked in my yard and had 6 of my ribs broken, pneumonia, lung contusion, all of that. These are people that are unstable. We don't want to encourage them. We have to somehow ratchet it down and say we're not encouraging that violence is ever okay, ever a reason for or a means for trying to resolve things. I feel that there's going to be an assassination. I really worry that someone is going to be killed, and that those who are ratcheting up the conversation, those who are ratcheting up saying get in their face, they have to realize that they bear some responsibility if this elevates to violence.
Now, I'd like to quickly say that some people point out that there is, the media is very biased on this issue. From the segments I've shared with you already, you can kind of tell that. This is funny because back in the 2010 or so, I was part of the Tea Party movement here in Sioux Falls. Very peaceful, no violence whatsoever. Actually, more boring as you listen to people do their own renditions of speeches by Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry. If you think people cosplaying in 18th century wigs is boring, then Tea Party rally was not for you. They were just pretty dull, to be honest. That was called a mob routinely by the national media. Routinely. There is some bias here. It's sad. That does bug me, but whatever. The media should be. This is to journalists everywhere. You do have a responsibility to point these things out. If the violence is on the left or the right, it is your responsibility to tell the truth. And to fight your own partisan tribal feelings and to tell the truth. Cut through your own biases for truth. Now, I talked a little bit about the Proud Boys Antifa rally. Well, there was a Proud Boys Antifa fight this weekend. Now, remember when I talked about how the Antifa attacked the GOP building? Well, the next night, the Proud Boys show up. The Proud Boys are... Okay, so they are a mostly peaceful group, but they have part of this philosophy is when they punch, we punch back. We're not going to be the first ones to assault, but if they assault us, we're going to beat the living daylights out of them. It's run by Gavin McInnes. He's a comedian, talk show host. He's a funny guy, actually. He's pretty funny. I disagree with him on the fight back thing. I'm more an MLK Jr. kind of guy. When they punch, I think we just take it and we show by our piece how wrong and evil they are. But that's not the Proud Boys philosophy. The Proud Boys do a lot of good in many ways. But what they don't do, I think, as good is that they fight back. So anyhow, the night after the GOP Manhattan building got vandalized, Gavin McInnes leads this kind, I don't know if protest. He just does this silly thing where with a fake sword, he does a fake assassination. It's an anniversary of an assassination the Japanese did to this socialist. I don't know. It's weird. See, it's just weird. It's hard to understand this story. And it's so new, it's hard to understand the context. But, they did this, then they walk out, and this guy comes up, grabs a MAGA hat, which then, starts a fight. And so then the Antifa and the Proud Boys get in a tussle, and they start fighting each other. I want you to just listen to the audio of this tussle and tell me if this isn't, you listen to it, that sounds kind of glorious. Hey, they fight back, but listen to actually what it really sounds like. Oh, I forgot to add, usually I try to stay away from NSFW stuff, but this is pretty violent and they use a lot of F-bombs. So if you have kids in the car nearby watching, you may want to turn this down. It's about 57 seconds long. So, turn the volume down for about a minute, turn it back up, and you'll be right back in okay. So there you have it. That is the audio of an up-close view of the Proud Boys and the Antifa beating each other up. in this particular clip, you see the Proud Boys, basically it looks like mob, where they get in a circle and they start kicking each other. Lots of F-bombs are flying. Gavin McInnes, you can see in the video, is telling them to calm down and to stop fighting, but it gets out of control. Then the police have to intervene, and it's a mess. So, I mean, that's what it really looks like, guys. When a mob goes after you and you fight back with a mob, not good. Not good. Political violence, I mean, it's just not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's something in our civil society we should try to leave alone. So I want to, I put Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton down for pushing on the incivility and pushing up the torque for violence. But there was someone this week that actually tried to turn it down. And I disagree with her 100% of the time. Former First Lady Michelle Obama. She actually, I have to give her props. Give props where they happen. So here we are, giving Michelle Obama her due props.
Former Attorney General Eric Holder, who worked for your husband, said the Democrats should have a new motto: when they go low, we should kick them. Hillary Clinton said, how can we be civil when our opponents are trying to take away everything we stand for? And I just thought, what would you say now about your motto?
Fear is not it's not a proper motivator. Hope wins out. If we think of the values that we try to promote to our children, Savannah, you're a mother right now. And at this point, you have to think about what are the things you're telling your girls. Which motto do you want them to live by?
God bless Michelle Obama for saying that. Good job. That was brave of her to be able to say that against the popular comment. I think it also was she didn't like what she calls a famous quote. She's not the first one to say that, but anyhow, she didn't like that being used negatively, I think. But no, major props, 2 thumbs up to First Lady Michelle Obama. Thank you so much for saying that. That's completely right. Guys, what is the example we're saying, not for just this generation, but the next generation? When we lean into mob violence and mob tactics, what are we saying? I remember the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mobs that stalked us over 150 years ago. That is still in our cultural minds. Sometimes we turn as a culture. We feel, we have to keep ourselves shielded from the world because they're going to gang up against you. Political violence lasts, okay? Political violence, the effects of it last, and it's horrible and ugly and wrong. This is not what we want. Do you think God is behind this? Do you think this is the way that Jesus would have us do? No, he taught us the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. He taught us, to love one another, to love the centurion and the Jew and the Gentile. You show kindness. Jesus lived in a time where political violence was what much of the Jewish population wanted. They wanted fights. The Maccabees, that's basically what that is. He didn't teach that, did he? He taught us to turn the other cheek, to go the other way. To walk another mile, if they ask you to walk a mile, you walk twain. You walk twice as much. That's the way to go. Martin Luther King Jr., 50 years ago, took that strategy and he changed this country. He got us over an awful challenge and hurdle. Segregation, by the way, a progressive move, but that's besides the point. He helped change this nation for the better. Civil dissidence is a good thing, but violence is never a good thing, okay? It's something that you keep in hold for, revolutions. Back this summer in July, a poll came out from Rasmussen that showed that almost a third of U.S. voters think a second civil war is coming soon. A third of U.S. voters, and that was before the Kavanaugh hearings. That was before we had the cat men and women screeching and scratching at the giant 17-ton stone door. That was before the ICE, before Antifa took over ICE, or was just about the same time. Have things gotten better or worse since July? Of course, you know what the answer to that is. We have got to turn this ship around. I asked on Facebook, is America headed towards a second civil war? And can we turn this boat around if we are? And sadly, most of the people that commented said they agreed. Some decided to make it a partisan thing, blaming the Democrats or Republicans. But it seems to me that most Americans feel like our country, the sacred union that our forefathers made, is about to break up. And that would be awful. So please, the whole point of this gigantic segment about the M word is to make you realize what in dire straits we are right now and how we need to learn not to resolve these problems with violence. You know how we resolve these problems? We start talking to each other again. And we don't try to talk past each other, but we try to talk to each other. We try to show kindness. We try to live by that golden rule. We don't have to go through a second civil war. Okay, there were no real winners in the first Civil War. The amount of people that died was drastic, evil, just horrible. The generation of people that were lost because of the Civil War. Let's not do it again, folks. Let's turn this boat around, change the heading, and live we want to take our nation to a glorious and bright future. President Trump, no President Trump. We want to have a golden future. We all want the best things for our families and our kids and our grandkids. We all, we're much more similar than we are different. We cannot forget that. All right. Thank you for listening to my rambling. Thank you for listening to this segment. God bless all of you. Please take the time to talk to your families about what's going on and try to teach your kids and your family members about how to talk to each other again, especially when they disagree politically. All right, well, before I get to my final little bit of fun stuff to share with you, I am going to get to intersectionality for an episode. I just finished the book, The Diversity Delusion by Heather McDonald, Dr. Heather McDonald. Really good book, fairly academic, so it was a bit of a hard read. I've also been reading Liberal Fascism and Addicted to Outrage, so I've really prepared for it, but things keep getting in the way of recording it. Part of me, I guess, is my hesitancy because it's such a serious and important topic matter. I want to do a full and real job and give you guys the best I can. So that's kind of gone the way. Plus, I had this mob stuff come up, and I felt that while we're in the talk about mobs, that I really do share the full mob issue with you, and so you guys got a good idea, I hope, of how hot and heavy things are right now. Okay, so that will be the next episode, hopefully. So what are we going to do for fun? Well, this isn't by me. This isn't a Reason video either. This is a bit that Steven Crowder did for his episode this week, October 12th. It is hilarious. It is really pretty funny. I'll just play it. You guys tell me what you think. Please watch the full episode if you want to hear more from Steven Crowder. He's a hilarious host. You can check him out on his YouTube channel or at CRTV. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel and tell him how much you like it.
Wait till I see Kanye tonight. I had a dream of a sleepover with Donald. Watch Netflix, maybe eat some tacos. He told me it was gonna be so dope, though. Man, grabbing interest by the truth, though. I wish everybody chill, man. I ain't one of the Clintons, I ain't have nobody killed, man. I pissed Pelosi off for funsies. Make America great in our onesies.
Well, all right, folks, there you go. That is the show. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Happy Warrior Podcast. Remember, if you ever have any ideas, questions, comments, you can reach me on Facebook at Happy Warrior Pete, or you can email me, which is Pete at happy-warrior.net, Pete at happy-warrior.net. Thank you to Robert Melling for producing this program. Thank you to you for listening. Thank you to all those who don't engage in mobs and let senators eat their dinners on date night with their wives. Anything else? Oh, yeah. God bless this country. God bless you. Thank you so much for our military and their service, for the blood that's sacrificed on our behalf. I hope that you will come back and hear me when I talk about the issue of intersectionality and what's going on our college campuses here in the United States and the Western world. Thank you so much. You are awesome to listen to this. Please share and spread it everywhere. All right. Have a good night. Ciao.
Thank you for listening. The Happy Warrior Podcast, hosted by Peter Von Pischke, produced by Robert Mailing, a production of the Sioux Empire Podcast Network. Learn more at happy-warrior.net.
僕に疑われてる必ず僕らは出会うだろう同じ鼓動の音を目印にしてここにいるよいつだって飛んでるからくたびれた理由が重なって揺れる時生まれた意味を知る存在が続く限り
A production of theSiouxEmpire.com